Hello and welcome. I'm Rossy Sanchez, and this is the Mindful Evening Hour. Remember the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me? Yeah, not always true, is it? Especially when you're talking about words uttered by someone you care about. Tonight, I'll be talking about triggers. Triggers are sensorial. You see a scene, you hear a specific sound, smell a familiar smell, taste a familiar taste, and or someone says something that sparks a specific emotion in you. Triggers are flashbacks. They take us back to a moment in time, a situation, an experience, and they elicit in us a disproportionately large emotional response, such as when your mother, could be anyone, sibling, friend, partner, but it's usually the mother, right? When she makes a harmless comment about your hair or your new t-shirt, the way you sing, how you vacuum, manage money, your new friends, anything. And suddenly you blow up and making what seems like a mountain out of a molehill, dispersing shrapnel everywhere. Emotional triggers almost always have long histories behind them. Triggers are memories that are usually connected to a perceived sense of inadequacy about our own selves. To give you an example, many years ago, I was married to one of my ex husbands who used to have a crush on Salma Hayek. If we ever saw her on TV, he would let me know time and time again that she was his platonic love. I guess I would respond by saying something really dumb like, she's not that beautiful or we're not that different. I don't really remember what I used to say, but I do remember him always ending it with, you'd have to be born again, meaning you don't even come close to looking like her, so don't go there. Now, he was a jokester, so all was said in jest. And I mean, the guy hadn't followed Salma to Hollywood, he'd married me. But I wasn't able to make that distinction back then. All I could do was take it personally and think about my chubby little body that I wasn't happy with while I fired off a string of imaginary, hateful, piercing bullets at poor Salma, who was probably going through some crap of her own at the time and totally unaware of my own feelings towards her. Now, my ex was just stating a fact. He just happened to repeat himself a lot. It wasn't like he was trying to set me off, it was just a comment. Like I could have said, I love Brad Pitt for his acting. But the truth is, his words really hurt because immediately I would compare myself with her. And in my eyes, I lost. After all, I'd have to be born again. It's been years, and while I now think I could give Salma a run for her money, blink, and I no longer feel any negative emotion towards my ex, I still remember it. So, what does that tell you? Triggers aren't rational, they're emotional, and emotions are sometimes hard to manage. When we're triggered, we knee jerk. It hurts. We feel less than and we react that way, sometimes responding inappropriately and making, again, a mountain out of a molehill. But it doesn't have to be that way. When you get triggered, there's a practice you can do, and I'm going to take you through it. It's called SBNR, SBNRR, or you can remember it as somebody needs rest and relaxation. It stands for stop, breathe, notice, reflect, and respond. Let's give it a try, shall we? Let's start by sitting up comfortably, feet on the floor, back straight, shoulders back and down, belly is loose, and your hands are on your lap. ideally palms facing up. You may close your eyes or leave them partly open. Now let's start by taking 3 deep and satisfying breaths. Deep inhale and a twice as long exhale. Really let it out, feel your rib cage. Take another deep breath in. This time, focus on relaxing your body. Long exhale. One more time. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Now, I want you to make believe you're at the movies. You're going to watch a short film which you produced, directed, and star in. You've watched it before, but you're looking to edit it and perhaps give it a different ending. In your movie, you're going to recall a time when you were triggered. Think of something small that set you off. Think about what happened, what was said, if anything, and how that made you feel. So sit in that theater of your mind for a few uncomfortable seconds as you replay this movie. Now, right as you start to feel the negative emotions of being triggered, I want you to stop. Pause the movie right at the onset of the trigger. That is the most powerful thing you can do. Hold off reacting for just a moment, because this moment is sacred. In fact, it's called the sacred pause. If you do nothing else or remember nothing else from tonight, remember that. This sacred pause is what's going to give you the freedom to assess the situation in a new way and perhaps respond differently from now on. The next thing you want to do is breathe. By focusing on taking deep breaths, you're activating the vagus nerve, which is the healing nerve in your body that calms you down. The next step is to notice. What are you going to notice? You're going to notice what's going on in your body. What do you feel in your face, your neck, shoulders? Is there something on your chest, your back, your abdomen? Do you feel any tension? Is there a change in temperature? Are parts of your body getting cold or getting hot? Just notice, don't judge. If you're feeling negative emotion like anger as you relive this trigger, I recommend you observe it as I am experiencing anger in my body as opposed to I'm angry. Because one of the key ways to learn to manage your emotions is to separate from them and to experience them as a physiological occurrence. Because you're not the source of anger. Anger is just a thought that's turned into an emotion in your body. Next, you want to reflect. Where's this emotion coming from? What's attached to it? Is there a history behind it? Am I experiencing a sense of inadequacy? Am I feeling insecure, anxious, not understood? Don't judge it. Just become aware of it. It can be very enlightening to step away from your emotions and observe them from a distance. If this experience involved another person, put yourself inside the other person, looking at you, and think about these two statements. Everybody wants to be happy. This person thinks acting this way will make him or her happy somehow. Again, no judgment. Just add a different perspective to the experience. Finally, respond. Think of ways you may respond that would have a positive outcome. You don't have to do it, but just imagine the kindest, most positive response you can come up with. What does that look like? Well, I hope you were able to give this movie a slightly different ending than you're used to experiencing. Now, while you're still at the movie, I want you, as you're watching the credits roll, I'm going to invite you to envision a very bright light. A light of unconditional love and self-compassion. A light that's emanating from your heart. Make it the color you want. It's warm. It's playful. And I want you to sit with it for a while. Just feel it. Enjoy it. As this light of unconditional love and self-compassion grows and gets stronger, invite it to visit the area or areas of your body where you felt emotion when you recall the trigger. And just have it wash over that area. After a while, you may start to see those emotions melt away. And when you do, feel free to spread that loving light throughout your whole body, starting from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. And let's do that for 3 minutes. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Does anyone want to share a bit about their movie or maybe how it felt to go through this process of SBNRR? Did you all fall asleep? Well, did anyone pay attention to the music?
I love that music, Rossy.
Thank you, Tom. You're welcome.
I wish I could from the beginning, and then I can read in that moment when that music came on. So,
you know, it's actually special music. It's 528 hertz, which is a healing vibration that we share with all living things. So it works on a DNA level. It's again, it's healing. And I'd be interested to know how you sleep tonight, because I was playing it this morning and it knocked out my dog. So so let me know how well you do tonight with your sleep.
This is gonna go on YouTube, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, is it gonna go on right afterwards so I can listen to it after?
Probably by yeah. I'll upload it tonight.
Okay, and then just research it by
Mindful Evenings. It's called my channel is Mindful Evenings.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So SBNRR can be very effective, but there are other things you can do as well. A more common approach to triggers is to count to 10. And that honors the sacred pause that we talked about and actually gives you something to do in the meantime. There's also a practice called meshing, where you imagine yourself as a porous mesh stream and you allow any negative emotions like anger, resentment, fear to pass through you like the wind. And you just observe them. They don't stick to you. They move on. You just watch them go. Something else you can try is to make believe you're in a comedy show and try to find something humorous about the situation. And that may come easy to some of you more than others. It all depends how easily you laugh at yourself or how observed the situation is that that you find yourself in. Something else you can do is to shift your attention onto something different. Go for a walk, pet your lizard, turn on the TV, read a book, or at least stare at the pages. Wash the dishes, give yourself a manicure. The idea is to buy yourself some time, calm down, and reframe the situation. But keep in mind that just shifting your attention may not be enough if you haven't resolved the genesis of the trigger. That requires looking at the situation from a more cognitive point of view. In other words, getting at the root of the trigger and your connection with it, but doing it with self-compassion as if you were talking to your best friend. Like I mentioned before, triggers have a long history. Maybe when you were 5 years old, someone said something to you that, even though it didn't make sense or seem right to you as a child, from that moment on, you believed it about yourself. Beliefs are nothing more than thoughts we think all the time and accept as gospel. But if they're not serving you, they can feel like rocks. And I don't mean diamonds. So it may feel like you've been collecting these rocks for years. Doesn't matter where you live, how many times you change jobs, what relationships you keep or let go of, you're still carrying these rocks. But you don't need to drag them around because they're not your rocks. They're somebody else's words or ideas or conditioning in your space. And once you realize that, you can drop them, crack them, obliterate them if you want. And watch how much lighter you're going to feel. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I wish rocks were diamonds, but you know,
Not all of them, yes.
but not all of
We
them.
wouldn't want to drop them or obliterate them either. So, by
We
the
may
way,
be tempted to throw them too.
what's that?
We may be tempted to throw them, the
Yes,
rocks.
yes, you don't want to throw diamonds. By the way, if you didn't have time or were too busy, or like Tammy came in when this had already started, you weren't able to write it all down. I'll be putting these practices in a PDF and emailing them to you. And well, you're not here via Instagram or Facebook, so I have your emails. Now, I started these mindful evening hours with some hot topics, expectations last week, and now triggers, because I thought they would be the most relevant topics now in the times of COVID, when relationships may be strained because suddenly we're too close too often and don't have much time to escape, or we're too far apart. But next week, I'm going to start at the beginning. I'll be talking about the physical and mental benefits of mindfulness, what it is, and how crucial it is to healing and creating the peaceful, joyful lives we were meant to create and become the whole, loving, happy folks we're meant to be before we bought into this reality. I hope you'll join me. And you'll find this in previous recordings on my YouTube channel, Mindful Evenings. So does anyone have anything they want to talk about or express or say before I close? Okay. Well, then I want to thank you for coming tonight. And I hope this session gets you closer to becoming more free, more open, and more blissful. I'm Rossy Sanchez, and this is the Mindful Evening Hour. Good night. Don't forget to tell me about how
Thank
well
you.
you slept.
Thank you, Rossy.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Rossy.
much. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes,
Good
I
night.
agree.
I'm ready for a nap.
Go forth.
Will it always be the same link and the same password?
Yes, it is.
Okay, cool. So, okay, excellent. Thank you, Rossy.
Thank you, Tammy. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Thank
Night.
you.
Night. Good night, Stacey.